What do you mean you're scared? What do you think it's about? What do you think the topic's about?
Fossils. I mean, not fossils, but like, like we've been learning.
What?
We've been learning about the
No, I think he knows what about what. It's always good to ask yourself, what am I going to do in class today? So when you, and so you kind of anticipate that. Like you're sitting, you're getting your brain in the position to learn it more thoroughly. So what do you think? What do your notes have? What do you have for notes last class?
I got it.
Y'all want to have notes for this, otherwise it's going to be hard. It's going to get ugly. Without taking notes, you're basically saying, I'm going to stand here on the beach when this hurricane comes ashore and try to stand up. It's not going to happen. It's not going to work. It's like you're setting yourself up for complete failure in that case. You're like, huh? No, I've been in 2 hurricanes, though. I mean, like literal hurricanes. So if a wind tunnel's supposed to mimic those, then I've experienced it. Oh yeah, that's the worst thing. It's hard to breathe when the wind's blowing in your face. Hey Dev, what are you thinking about for your topic for your IA?
I was thinking about to continue what I was doing, so something to do with bacteria. I mean, not like just health, I guess, like with bacteria and like.
Have you narrowed it down to like, do you have a dependent variable, what you're going to be measuring?
I was gonna go over that with my partner. So no, not
Who's your
yet.
partner?
Jacob.
Pavo.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all need to really get hot on it. Like
Okay.
it's that
We're actually gonna start on that today.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Now that jump is over, how was jump? It was better than you expected. That's good. Oh, I didn't distract. What was your best? The financial stuff is what you liked the most?
Yeah, I learned how to apply for scholarships, and there's some of the grants, I think.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you want to go for as many grants as possible. You don't have to pay that back. Grants. La grant. School was pretty cheap. I got a lot of grants. I was as poor as a church mouse when I went to a university. I had, like, my mother had nothing. I took every bit of money I had made. I was 21 when I went to school. So all the money I had made up until that point, I gave it to my sister and put it under her name. So on paper, I was super poor. And, I had, my father was, had died. We didn't own a house. I mean, we didn't have any assets. So we qualified for grants, man. I got grants. Woo! It was awesome. You want to apply for as many grants as you can. Grants work out. Grants are great. The thing is, like the year I was born, there were 4 billion people on Earth. The year you guys were born, there were 7 billion people. So it almost doubled. So there's a lot more competition. So you got to be swinging for the fences, because you're competing against not just the people in Summit, not just the people in Arlington, but not just the people in Texas, but people across the world. We're a country of immigrants too. And so a lot of universities are going to have immigrant populations that are 5 to 10% of the university. Everybody wants that money. Give me the money. Give me the money. No, you'd have to get, it's harder to immigrate to a lot of countries too. It's really hard.
Yeah, my mom wants me to go to the military, and I don't even know what branch I would even go to.
Well, you get the GI Bill. The GI Bill pays for stuff. Good morning, beautiful children of the planet. Let's see if we can't get this do now done. This one's a little more tricky, isn't it? This one's a little trickier than before. I'm having a nice conversation with everybody in here. So let's hear what you guys have to say about this particular do now. This one's little trickier. Kind of plays off that last one.
Dude, it hasn't been exposed to antibiotics. What are antibiotics?
But think about it, right? It's not popular, right? So even if you're in that area, it's not likely that the bacteria will get to you.
But it hasn't been treated. It hasn't been
Don't
exposed.
catch it.
It hasn't been exposed.
Yeah, but you're going to get it. You have a disease.
Oh.
So where would you want to contract it? That's the question.
Oh.
Say, hey,
Warren.
I'm sorry?
I feel like this is a trick question. I'm scared to think.
It's not
A
trick.
is logical, but
I say,
you know, these
A,
questions
A
you
or
have-
C.
Let's see y'all's answer. Drop it in the chat. Yo.
I learned from a mistake.
routinely prescribed.
I wrote this question. This is mine. This didn't come from any test. This is my question. I'm curious what you guys would say.
Just what
Nice. Keep it up. Keep it up. Yeah, keep them private for now. Keep them private for now. Oh no, I have a great video for you later on though.
Bro, you should have saw the activity that we did last time when we got the rabbits. Bro,
Where?
it's just that male rabbits, like, they make a lot of babies. Like a lot of babies.
Have you answered the do now yet?
Oh, yeah, I said,
Did put it in the chat though.
Yeah, put drop it in the chat. I'm keeping a record of the answers. I'm literally keeping a record.
think about it, if you eat the animals, and they have the antibiotics in them.
I mean, all I know is that Barnes.
Oh, no!
Barnes and,
Forgot the private.
because like I was thinking about.
Thank you, Becerra.
Yeah, but they didn't treat it.
If you're in class, go ahead and drop your answers in the chat.
If you
I'll be calling out people who don't answer in a moment
your body,
to get your answers. I need to see, what are your answers to this? Drop them in the chat privately. I want to keep a record. This one's a little trickier.
I don't know, my hair is actually pretty.
We'll start the lesson. I'll break this down at 8:33. Go ahead and drop it. Thank you. Thank you. Awesome. Okay. It looks like about half, I'm going to check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 out of the 20 of you guys. No, excuse me. How many answers do I have so far? There's 18. 7 out of 18 are definitely what I would have gone for, which is still a majority of the answers. The rest of you guys are kind of scattered. We'll come back to this. Actually, I'd rather teach a lesson and come back to this than give you the clear answer, and maybe you'll change your mind after today's lesson. You should change your mind after today's lesson if you did not choose a particular one. So I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to just remind you that we do have a quiz today. You do want to pay attention to the lesson as much as possible, because it's going to make a big difference in how well you do on this. And here we go. So as also a reminder today, we're going to be studying, obviously you've seen this if you looked at today's lesson title. It is natural selection and fitness. When you're going through today, as you're taking notes, you want to have some categories, a T-chart. On one side, you want to have generated. And on this other side, you want to have maintained. You want both of those categories. So this would be where those you two, three are getting this T chart. You want this. And this is a really good way. It's like a cheat sheet. It's a thought process to make some decisions. And you can use that to answer that do now. At the end of it, we're going to come back to it. So this, you'll fill this in. You'll have this T chart. As I'm going through the lesson, you fill this T chart in and it will help you reason through questions. So first one, does anybody know what it is about this, this peacock, why it has tail feathers like this? Call attention to who? Good, it's a good point. Call attention to who? Call attention to females. You are exactly right. It is calling attention to females. So could that be an advantage and a disadvantage? How could it be a disadvantage? Oh, she'll feel attracted to it. She'll be attracted, depending on a couple of factors. But more attention to, there's somebody says more attention to prey. Do you mean they'll get more attention as prey from a predator? Oh, yeah. So there's a couple of people saying, yeah, predators can see it as well. Yeah, absolutely. So it's a double-edged sword. What is she looking for? What is a female peacock looking for? This is a male. What is she looking for? What is it about this that she's looking for? What about the blue? So is it the color itself? Color and size? I get a lot of you guys saying color, size, big. There's something else they're looking for. Think about mathematics. Do you guys see anything in particular? Do you guys see anything? Ah, awesome. Yes, several of you guys have seen it. Good job. There's symmetry here. So if you'll look at these, all of these, people say, oh, these are eyes. These aren't eyes. What the female is looking for here is she's looking at this situation to where there's symmetry. She can see there's these circles. She's looking for symmetry. And there are circles all the way around. Otherwise, I can't see outside of this, but you'll see, above here, but there's this symmetry, and that's what she's looking for. She's looking for the most symmetrical male possible. The peacock's tail is actually more of its mass than its actual body. So if a peacock is running away from a predator, the tail is really long. Here, like imagine this is the tail and this is the bird itself running. So this tail is really long. So what's a predator going to grab? If you're chasing it? What is a predator going to grab first? Yeah, you wonder, it's going to be, yeah, exactly. That's right. It's going to grab the tail. So when that predator catches that bird, it's going to grab those feathers, and sometimes a male may be missing a section or feathers, and it breaks the symmetry. If the symmetry is broken, the female won't mate with him. She'll just be like, ignore him. It insinuates that he's slow, and if he's slow, and that's a genetic condition, well then that is the advantage. Somebody asked, what's the advantage of symmetry? If you're symmetrical, that means you're fast, because if you're non-symmetrical, it means a predator chased you down and caught some of your tail feathers. You survived, but you are still slow. So if there's 2 or 3 males, the male with the most symmetry wins. It means that he's faster, that he's healthier. And if he's fast, and that's that could be a genetic trait, and she will want to mate with that male over another male, because that, mating with the male that's slow is, a disadvantage to her offspring. She doesn't want her offspring to inherit, mediocre behavior or mediocre, maybe not necessarily behavior, but mediocre speed. She wants fast. All right, so that's kind of an intro for this, and let's get into this. So we're talking about genetic variation. How do we maintain and generate genetic variation? And then we're going to talk about fitness and adaptation. So again, how do we generate it? How do we maintain it? If you're just coming in, you want a T-chart. I'd ask the kids that were here on time to make a T-chart. On one side, it's going to say generated. And on the other side, you're going to put maintained. If you keep these records, then you're going to be able to reason through the quiz at the end of class. It's going to help a lot. So first one, how do we generate variation? Well, easy. Most of you guys already get this, right? It's a mutation. We know mutations are the ultimate source for this. So if this is eye color and I had adenine and I had a substitution for thymine, I go from blue to brown. Yay, that generates variation right there in itself. Pretty straightforward, right? You can't predict when you're going to get these. What do you need? What do you need? Oh, so you're going to go from blue to brown. Pretty straightforward, pretty easy. Next is sexual reproduction. Sexual reproduction, we know, also gives us variation. Remember, none of my children look the same. You don't look the same as your brothers and sisters. So there's two ways that this happens within sexual reproduction. So the second point that you'll have under generated, is going to be sexual reproduction. And then we've got two ways that that happens within sexual reproduction. There's crossing over, which we've seen before, and then random segregation. We'll look at both of those as a review. After all, we have a final exam in about a month and a half. So we've got crossing over, remember here. What is that structure where you cross over? What is that structure called? Drop it in the chat. What is that structure called where crossing over occurs? Starts with CH, ends with A. What is that structure called? I'm not going to say it. Somebody's, thank you, Monis. There you go. That's right. It's the chiasma. So it's the chiasma. So you're going to align those homologs, so those homologous chromosomes, and exchange information. So I've got this color here. What color is this? So it's green. What color is this? I'm colorblind. I don't know. Is it blue or purple? Okay, we'll go for that. And then what is this? And this is red. Okay. Now, we form that chiasma, crossing over occurs, and here we have it. So where I was green and purple, and this was, you said orange and what? What was this here? Red? Now I am green and red and orange and purple. Now, obviously, these genes aren't linked. They're not close to each other. You don't get this to happen if there's gene linkage. But if their genes aren't linked, then when you form a chiasma, you get variation. So it's not a big deal. And then finally, you're going to segregate all these. You're going to go from having one parental cell to 4 haploid cells. And every one of these is going to be different. So like this would be A, B, C, D. All these are genetically different because we are segregating those alleles independently. That's really one way. Now we're going to get into maintenance. So really, again, drop it in the chat. What are the two ways we generate variation? Drop it in the chat. Or let me call on somebody. Make sure that we're all following along today. Let me go to Randy first. Randy, you're going to be the first contestant on the Pope is Right today. What are the two ways that we generate variation? Oh, thank you. Thank you. Well, I see people putting it in there now. We're going to wait for Randy for a second. Randy, how do we generate variation? What are the two ways? You can either say or drop it in the chat. That's one. That's one. Sexual reproduction. What's the other way? We cross over genes for sexual reproduction, and there's one more way. It's the ultimate source of genetic variation. The ultimate source. Ah, got you. Yeah, mutations. Right, absolutely. So now we're going to talk about maintenance. So there's a few ways, and you guys can, I've already given them here to you. There's diploidy, balanced polymorphism, and then neutral variation. So we'll go over this really quick. It's not too hard. First is diploidy. This one's easy. We have 2 copies of every gene. Are you okay? So this email that I'm going to send, what am I going to say? I've got dominant and recessive alleles, So in one environment, this could be better, right? A dominant allele could be great in one environment, but we know, places can change, environments can change. So you can preserve this. I may have this trait, like I know I have the trait for blue eyes. I know it. Now my father had blue eyes. His father had blue eyes. I know I got blue eye trait from him, but my mother had green eyes. So if blue eyes was an advantage later on, then that is something that maybe my children I could have passed down to them, and then they could express it. There's also the condition of this, and you need to remember, it's called heterozygote advantage. You are more likely to survive if you have diversity in your genome, big time. This is true there's no exception to this. Every heterozygote has an advantage. Often, even though you have this trait, this recessive allele, sometimes physiologically, you have an advantage. You may actually express a little bit of that phenotype, such as in your immune system. If you're heterozygous your immune system, that's often very, very robust. If you're homozygous for many of your traits, a lot of times that indicates that your immune system isn't very good. And so these organisms that have genetic diversity usually do a lot better than these 2 homozygotes, these homozygous dominant, homozygous recessive. So if I have selection for this, that tends to work out and preserve this. It maintains diversity in the population. There's also this situation, and I think you guys will get this really easy. Think about you and your classmates. If something's really common, do you value it? So I'll give you an example. Facebook used to be cool, now it's not. Twitter got cool, then it became uncool. TikTok's cool. Once everybody likes TikTok, people will move on. What is something that is extremely rare that has a lot of value? What do you guys think? Like monetary value, something very rare and it has a lot of value. Drop it in the chat. Oh yeah, gold, diamonds, rubies. I don't even know what the hell that is, Dev. I don't know. A penny from 1910. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So some things are, if they're rare, they tend to be hold a lot of value. This is an arrangement of phenotypes, and this is phenotypes by hair color. And what does a Finnish person look like? What does the hair color of a Finn look like? Finnish, they're from Scandinavia. What is that? Yeah, well, what's their hair color? Like if you were to go to Finland, oh, there you go. There's a bunch of you guys crap. Yeah, these are blondes. So like you'll notice people do a lot to change their phenotypes, right? So this is in most of the United States, this is what people look like. Most Southern Europeans, Asians, African Americans, we have black or dark brown hair. That's really common. But you'll see people, they'll even dye their hair that. The people will put contacts in their eyes to change their hair color. They'll put braids. They'll style their hair like mine to make it look a little different, right? I've seen people actually make their hair gray for some crazy reason. Like, I mean, like, come on. When a phenotype is really common, it doesn't get a lot of attention. When it's something is uncommon, a lot of times it does get attention. It's the opposite for predators. If a phenotype is really common for a predator, they'll notice it and they'll key in on it. It's those ones that have those rare phenotypes that help them get away a little bit better that actually survive. All right, and there's neutral variation. Now let me ask you guys a question. Have you guys ever met, this is something that does not influence reproductive success. When you meet somebody, do you guys ever say, hey, you know, I really like to see the back of your ear. There's a freckle on the, do you have freckles on the back of your ears? Any of you guys think that same thing? Like you meet something? It doesn't make sense to you? That doesn't work for you? No, I'm saying like you walk up to somebody, you meet them, you think they're the most wonderful thing on earth, but the thing you really want to know is, do they have freckles on the back of their ears? I don't know. But there's a lot of people on here saying no. Exactly. This is what I'm saying. This is something that would be neutral variation. It would not affect reproductive success at all. It has no bearing on anything. So it's not favored, it's not selected for, it's not selected against. It just kind of hangs out there. And so if ever it did become important, that trait is available. This was what helps maintain variation. All right, so I've really gone over 5 different things. How do we generate variation? How do we maintain it? But now we're going to get into something else. We're going to get to how this actually is working together. So what is the currency of natural selection? And there's a term for it. And this is important. You'll need to remember that this is a currency, and it's called fitness. Fitness is different than anything that you've probably ever heard before. A lot of you guys think it has to do with strength or how strong or how fast or what is your resting heart rate, what's your blood pressure. We are not talking about that kind of fitness. This fitness is all about your contribution to the gene pool. How many kids you leave behind. How many children do you leave behind? So me, Mr. Pope, how much DNA of my DNA is in my daughter? In terms of a percentage. Drop it in the chat. How much of my DNA is in my daughter in terms of a percentage? Thank you, Caleb. Thank you, Diana. Thank you, Kimberly. Yeah, no, Caleb, you're wrong though. Thank you, George. Thank you, Keaton. Yes, 50%. You are correct. Monis, geez, yeah, okay. I got it, 50%. You guys are killing it. 50%. Now, I have a son and a daughter. So how much of me is left behind? If I were to not survive or have any more kids, how much of my DNA is left behind? Thank you, Kimberly. Absolutely. Thank you, Caleb. 100%. I have my Pope's fitness. My fitness equals 100%. I have 50% in my daughter, and I have 50% of my DNA in my son. Now, that is my wife's same situation for her. So let's call her Pope 2. And she equals 100% because she has 50% of her DNA in our daughter and 50% in our son. So my fitness level is 100%. That's my fitness level. Now, other people, does anybody have a parent that has more than 2 children? All right, how about this? Well, there's a bunch. Any of you guys have a parent that has more than 4 children? Let's go, just jump. Because now I've got people saying they have 4. Holy smoke, anybody have a parent that exceeds 5? Okay, I think 5 is the record we got so far. So what is the fitness of somebody who has 5 children? Fitness for a person. Yes, sir. with 5 children. Yep. You guys got it. That it is 250%. So 5 times 50 is going to be 250%. They have 250% of their DNA of that person has left behind. That is what we're talking about. The relative fitness. The relative fitness means comparative fitness. So we're comparing now, right? This is comparative. So in this case, this is going to be person. I don't know if they want me to put themselves out there. So this is person X versus Mr. Pope. Well, Mr. Pope loses. I only have 100% fitness. This other person here, they got 250%. So their relative fitness is higher than my own. They're changing the gene pool higher than or more so than I am. So natural selection is just all natural selection is just differential success. I am not as successful as the other person who has 5 children. Maybe. Let's wait and see, because there's something we need to think about here. It's all about the environment. So let's play with this. I want you to consider the following. Consider for a moment this. Which female has an advantage right now? The environment. The environment's white. Say color matters to hide yourself. Does any of these individuals have an advantage? No, I agree with you. They both stand out like a turd in a punch bowl. I can see them both, right? There's red against white, blue against white. Both of them stand out. Now, which one has an advantage, red or blue? And I need to get 15 people to drop an answer in there. 2, 3, 4, 5. Some people think blue has an advantage. Okay, keep it up. That's cool. I want to see what you guys think. Which one has an advantage? So far, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If I can't get 15 people, I think what I do is for the people who don't participate, we can call you guys out and then we can start having quizzes earlier. This is not a class where you can just chill. All right, there we go. Okay. Now we're getting people to say this. So there's red clearly has an advantage, right? The fitness of this one here is 100%. There's 50% here, there's 50% here. And so they're at 100. This one, she only has 1 offspring. She's at 50% total. This one's at 100% because they've got these. What about now? What's the fitness of this female, of the blue one, at generation 3? Well, you go from 50, and again, they're mating to produce this one, to 25. We're talking about from this female to 12.5. Well, here you go from 50, and all these in this whole row, these are all going to be 25% of her. We're always comparing back to this female. So that's 25 times 4, that's 100. 50 times 2, that's 100 at the 3rd generation. And then these are going to be 12.5%. So 12.5 times 8, well, that's also 100. So this female, this red female, is winning. Winning. The blue one is losing. This is me getting diluted with every generation. Okay. Now, again, natural selection, this becomes some kind of magic. People talk about, oh, I can't accept this because natural selection's, it's not guided, it's random. Natural selection isn't random at all. It's all about the environment. So what is one reason you don't make it in nature? Yeah, every generation, the number goes down. Yeah, your grandchildren will only have 25% of your DNA unless you're mating with your children. So, well, I mean, that's what people are saying. They're saying, so yeah. And I'm like, yeah, don't do that, right? We don't do that. So because somebody's going to mate with your child and dilute your DNA every generation. Yes, sir, predators, I agree. Predators are going to take you out. Thank you, guys. So one reason probably is going to be predators. So let's look at a habitat. So Which of these have an advantage? Which of these? So is it frog number 1? What? Which one do you think within this environment has an advantage? Frog number 1 or frog number 2? It has an advantage. Okay, why do you say number 1? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you guys see it. Number 1 looks like it blends in a little more. Some people's computers have a slightly different color, and they're saying 2, but I know that I've seen color on computers change, and the 2 looks like it blends in more. But it's number 1. So if a predator is using visual cues like color, maybe not movement, but color, which one are they going to see better? Well, they're going to see this one. This one is going to lose probably. This one here, this is going to be the winner chicken dinner all day long. This color is going to lose. So there's 2 females. What's the fitness of each female? What's the fitness of each female? This female versus this female. What's their fitness? Quantify it. Yes, sir. Thank you, Turner. Thank you, Santos. Thank you, Acabo. Thank you, Monis. Good grief. Thank you, Caleb. Thank you, Keaton. Yes, that's correct. These are all 250% each, right? They're both 250%. Each one of these is 50% of her DNA. But which one's going to catch the hammer? Well, those are more likely to get eaten. So when it comes down to it, this female might still be at 250% at the end of this, while this other female, her fitness drops to 100. So it's not just how many kids you have, it's how many survive. So if you think about somebody that has like, oh, I'm going to have 10 kids, well, but are you going to take care of all 10 of those kids to the best way, to the best of your ability, and your ability level is high? It's really hard to do that. You could say, I'm going to invest in 1 child, and hopefully that 1 child does really, really well, or I can have 5 children and just hope that one of the 5 makes it. There's different strategies that you can have in nature. So this is just an example where, in this case, green is better than this yellow to survive to a reproductive age. It's all about them actually growing up to reproduce themselves. So what if the habitat changes? We know habitats do change. Obviously, if you look at the strata and fossils, habitats change, ecosystems change, climate change is making some big changes. Which object is going to win? Which one is going to be more visible now? Well, yeah, it's going to definitely win. So of course it's going to reverse. I think we can see this. This is one's going to win. It's all about relativity. It's going to matter about the environmental context. If you're a farmer, you better have 10 kids. If you're an urbanite, somebody living in an urban area, you probably want to have 2 or 3. It just kind of depends on your strategy. Well, organisms outside of us are going to be the same. So let's do a little more here. Now, how many factors are favoring the red? Which one is more likely to which one's more likely to survive? Yeah, put it in the chat. Which one was more likely to survive to a reproductive age? Okay. Yes. And okay, how many factors for red? Many of you guys have already said that. How many factors favor red? How many factors favor red? Yes. You hear, could you tell us why there's 2?
Well, there's 2 because of the population size and the fitness of those, and then there's also the habitat that they are in.
Absolutely. So it's going to be her ability to produce greater clutch sizes as well as the environment. So she has 2 factors going for it, where blue might just have 1, right? Blue might just have 1 factor, and that might just be this organism's ability to give this offspring attention. Maybe that's true, and maybe it's not. It depends on that style, but the definitely factors favoring red is going to be 2 for sure. It's got 2 things. But what if things change? How many factors favor red now? That's right, 1. And blue, assuming that she's not giving this offspring any attention, maybe she just has 1, the advantage of camouflage. The only thing that this female has is her reproductive potential is higher. So her reproductive potential is higher. That's it. That's the only advantage she has. This advantage is just going to be camouflage. That's all this one has. So they both have just 1 single factor influencing them. So that one might be successful in that environment. All right, I'm going to stop for a moment. Go to Schoology. Come on, silly computer. Oh my gosh, my computer's frozen. It does this every once in a while. I don't know why it's been doing this. Okay, it's unfrozen. Whoo, I was freaking out. All right. Go to Schoology really quick to today's lesson. I saw Monis has got all the good, And there is a document called Bed Bugs. You guys should be able to see this. Oh my God, Bed Bugs isn't there. How is that possible? Holy smoke. No, don't fret. I will get it for you. That's just what I needed today. Everybody this will be your chance to take a pee break. It'll go fast. I'm sorry. Well, there was, I don't know why, but it says Bed Bugs, but there's nothing there. It'll be there in a second. All right, here it is. All right. I got to reattach this thing. Sorry, fellas and fellarettes. I'm being a bad person. Bad person. Bad papa.
This one?
All right.
You sign up for the link because you're doing the race, bro? Shit, on the seat.
All right, I attached a new document. Refresh your page. I apologize for things going so slow. See where it says the Not So Naked 8? Open that document. And the first thing that I want you guys to do, and before I put you into breakout rooms, is I want you to read it. And when you read it, I want you to look for words you don't know the meaning of. And we'll wait. It's really short. It's a really short document. It's a really short document. I just want you guys to take, say, 3 minutes, open it, and then let's see words you do not understand. Yeah, they are not pretty. And you'll see it says the Not So Naked 8. And I'll be quiet for 3 minutes and let you guys read this article. When you see a word you don't know, please note the paragraph and line. What paragraph and sentence? There should be at least 5 words that you don't know, at least. Should be at least 5 words. There's a water fountain. Good, I'm good. I'm glad that you do. You still have, oh, no, you don't. You have 8 seconds. All right, so what I would like you guys to do is come on cue and tell us, what are some terms that you did not understand?
There was one word.
Okay, which paragraph and sentence?
Good one.
The 5th paragraph? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, which line? Commensurate?
Yes.
A commensurate. So a commensurate patch, as I understand that, commensurate would be like one as opposed to the other. So each had a patch of skin on one arm shaved and marked with a pin, and the other commensurate patch marked and surrounded. So the other patch that they were comparing it to. So in this case, they were doing an experiment. They had one patch that was hairy, another patch that was slick, right? So they had shaved one and then had left the other one unshaven. So the commensurate patch, not shaved. They compare the control group, so to speak. All right, what are some other terms that you guys had? Thank you for being brave enough to ask. Okay, so, oh my God, there's so many of these things. Okay. You guys give me a break for a second. I've got to find, there's so many here. So I got, okay, so I got her suit from, which paragraph was her suit? Which paragraph was her suit? Somebody asked about the term her suit. Which paragraph was that? Paragraph 2, line. So always give me a paragraph and a line. Oh, right here. So second to last line. If her suit would be a hairy individual. So these fine human hairs do not seem to be performing any functions of their counterparts in a more hirsute species. So if you're hirsute, you are covered in hair. You have a lot of hair. You're a hairy person. Let's see. God, there's so many of you guys that are asking me questions. Vellus hairs. So it would be the last paragraph, line 2, right here, a vellus hair. Those are those little bitty baby hairs that are around the perimeter of your scalp or your hairline. You know, those little bitty hairs. You'll have some kids that will try to, like, it's like little boys in the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade that are try to use vellus hairs to grow a mustache, but it looks silly because they've got, all it is peach fuzz. That's little vellus hairs or peach fuzz. They're little bitty fine hairs. I'm sorry. So let's see, the next one is putative, first paragraph. Let's see, putative. And which line was it? Good night. Da, 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 da. Hairless ape, the lack of, and a putative aquatics period. You know, I'm not entirely sure. I think a putative is means that it's been disproven. Would somebody look that up? Disproven. See if putative means disproven. I think it means disproven. Somebody asked about this term right here. Yeah, generally considered or reputed to be. Yeah, it means like something is, there's no support for it. So people used to think, people wondered, why are we the only ape that has such fine hairs? Other apes is like we have you know, other apes outside of us have really thick hairs. Ours are really fine on most of our body. So why is that? And people used to think, well, it's because of surface area to volume ratios. If you're really hairy, you've got a lot of surface area and it creates a lot of drag. And so they thought, well, maybe we had an aquatic period and selection acted against it. We don't think that that's necessarily true. And you wait till you come to next class. It gets this, when I give you what we're going to read then, you'll be like, oh my gosh. So that's putative. Let's see, what else did you guys have? Oh, arthropod, that was 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Here, arthropod. An arthropod is an organism that has an exoskeleton. So if you have an exoskeleton, I don't think this will let me write now. An exoskeleton would be like a spider, an insect, a crab, a crawfish. I can't write on it. I can only write on PowerPoint with this pen. I'm just trying to point out an arthropod. So anything with an exoskeleton. We have internal skeletons. We're not arthropods. We are vertebrates. Let's see if there's anything else. I think that was it. Oh no, follicles from paragraph 2, line 3. Let's see, paragraph 2, right here. A hair follicle, if you ever pull out a hair and you look at the bottom, if you look at the bottom of that hair where it's in your skin, it's a little white thing. It's the area that your hair grows out of. A hair follicle, if you pluck hairs, you'll see it at the bottom of the hair. It's a little bitty kind of a cream colored thing, little area. It's really what it is a group of cells that produce these proteins that are your hair. And so that would be a hair follicle. So areas that your hair grows out of. Okay, so let me ask you guys some questions then. So I'm gonna switch this up a little bit. So let's have open discussion. This is the question, and not chatting because no one's going to get anywhere. What is the selection pressure on humans and bed bugs? Remember what natural selection is. Selection pressure is something pushing on you, like the selection pressure on the peacock was acquiring a mate. The peacock needed to acquire a mate. The peacock can't change you get what you're born with, right? Either because of sexual reproduction or mutations, you're just born with that tail. But that selection pressure for that tail, why that tail is favored and why that tail gets brighter and more symmetrical is the males that are more successful in acquiring mates pass down that trait. So over time, you get these tails that are more vibrant and symmetrical because those are the most successful males. The selection pressure is acquiring a mate. What is the selection pressure on humans? Come on there, Mike. And I'll have a discussion and talk about many of these questions as long as you guys are willing. If you're not willing, we'll just go to the quiz. What is the I dropped it in the chat box. What is the selection pressure on humans? You don't have to be right. You just have to try. What is the selection pressure on humans in this scenario? We're talking about with this bed bug article. Yes, some of you are asking, you mean about the article? Yes, with this article. What's the selection pressure? What are humans?
Would it be to be able to protect themselves from the arthropods?
Yeah, and which arthropods are we talking about?
The bed bugs?
Yeah, the bed bugs, and probably anybody insect. I got the other day. I went looking for snakes a couple weeks ago, and I felt a tick crawling up my leg. I felt it. It was crawling through the hairs on my leg, and I felt it. I stopped. I pulled up my pants, pulled it off, and threw it back into the grass. So you want to avoid, in this case, getting bitten, because if you get bitten, you could get what? What could be a problem with getting bitten by bed bugs? By the way, whoever that was, good job. I think that was Diana, right? Yeah, there you go. Sarah, why don't you come on and say something? Quit chatting to me privately. We're in a class or learning community. Talk to us.
You can get like an infection or disease.
Absolutely. You get an infection or disease, that could be a problem. You could not survive long enough to get a mate. What about this, Sarah? Pretend for a moment that you and I are the same age, and I like you. I'm this little 17-year-old kid. I go, oh, there's Sarah. I want to ask her to a promposal. Like, y'all gonna have promposals, and you, and I walk up to you, and I've got bed bug bites all over my face. You're gonna go to the prom with me?
I'm guessing in this scenario, no.
I would hope not. I mean, you look at me and go, what's wrong with this dude? This dude's got little bite spots all over his face. What's up with that? I mean, that could, deep in your mind, like, think this might not be the best mate, right? This person is susceptible. They can't detect parasites very well. If they can't detect parasites very well, even though it's just a prom, somewhere in your head and literally in that lizard brain of yours, you're going to be thinking, uh-oh, probably not a good mate. I do not want this to be passed to my offspring. If they can't detect parasites, their offspring may not be able to detect parasites. I'm out. What about in this case, the bed bugs. What's the selection pressure on the bed bugs? Because it goes both ways, right? What do you guys think the selection pressure is on the bed bugs? It's a little tougher question. If you're a bed bug, what's your selection pressure? Yeah, exactly. Good job. Ashmi, why don't you come up on, why are you texting this crap to me? Talk to us. Tell us tell us all this goodness.
I said that the bed bugs would have the pressure of finding food and surviving.
Absolutely, right? They need to eat. If they don't eat, they don't mate. If they don't mate, they don't reproduce. If they don't reproduce, their fitness falls as well. So it's all about this idea of fitness. Can I survive long enough to have offspring? What do you think it would help them to be undetected? They've got to survive, so they got to go undetected. So what would help them, do you think, be able to be undetected? Guys, you're texting me in private. This is a class. Talk to the class. Okay, you're going to chat to the class? Come on, talk to the class. Huh? So I got some people in here saying small. Yeah, being small, being small. Yeah, that would help. Probably having really tiny little legs where you could hold on to a hair. If you notice, the smaller the hair in the article, the easier it was to move it. And so it's, you know, the smaller you are, the more likely you are to be able to get, you know, go undetected. And you have to be pretty small, because can any of you guys feel a mosquito land on you? Oh, really? I can feel them. Oh, really? You don't feel it until they bite? Randy said yes. Kimberly said yes. Yeah. Heck yeah, I can feel that mosquito. Like, what? Cat! And I try to get them before they get me. Yeah, it's a little bigger. I mean, I'm a pretty attuned to these things. I spend a lot of time outside. I'm pretty attuned to these suckers. Yeah, that is it. So it's all. Now let me ask you: can a person decide to have smaller hairs? Is that a decision? No, smaller hairs. No. Exactly. There's so many of you guys are saying no. Exactly, Kimberly. Kimberly, share the love. Tell us about what you're thinking, baby. Tell us. Oh, I know, but come on, you're just giving us a word. Come on to the mic. Talk to me. Your mic is tripping. Your mic's tripping. My mic's tripping. I'm tripping because I don't hear you guys, and it makes me crazy. I feel like I'm talking to my computer. I literally am. So other people help me out here. She's not the only person that knows this. So what is it? We can't, these can't be decisions that we make. What determines our hair? What determines how much or how little or how fine or what the diameter of your hair?
Genes.
Yeah, genes, right, exactly. Who is this? You talking
Sarah.
about Blue? That's who?
Me.
Me, Diana?
No, Sarah.
Sarah. Yeah, so Sarah. So it's all, you inherited that trait, right? So if your parents had fine hairs, then you're going to have fine hairs. If they had fine hairs, they were probably pretty good at avoiding diseases from, you know, these vectors of insects. Insects are vectors for disease, right? They are the direction disease comes at you. Like in physics, you're thinking about like a vector of direction. In biology, we think about vectors as modes of delivering. So the vector for the vaccine is a needle. The vector for a insect-borne disease is the insect itself. So if you're good at detecting those, you're probably going to have a reproductive advantage over those who don't. So you would get this over time. You get these finer hairs. And then same thing for the insects. They're going to be evolution, natural selection is going to be refining these insects. So they've had to change with us. In fact, if you go look at how many species of louse do you think we have? We have 2 species of lice. We have 2 species on us as a human. Have any of you guys had lice? Y'all never had lice? Are you kidding me? Yeah, your sister did. I've got them. I've got them several times as a teacher. I pick them up from you guys. And as my kids would play with other kids, I pick them up from them. We have 2 species. We have a head louse, and then we have pubic louse. We have 2 species. They're the different species. Think about your pubic hair for a moment. Your pubic hair is very coarse. It's got a greater diameter. It's bigger, and your hair on your head is finer. It's 2 different species. If a pubic louse cannot live on your head, and a head louse cannot live in your pubic area, they can't do it. It's all about that diameter of hair. Well, people call them crabs. People call them the galloping dandruff too, because they look like little pieces of dandruff moving around. But they're not galloping dandruff. I mean, they're lice. Apes, other primates, they'd only have 1. If you literally trace them back in their DNA, you can see the relationship and see when we diverged, when we started to get 2 different, areas of hair on our body. You can't climb on vellus hairs. We have vellus hairs all over our body, from our head to our pubic hair, from pubic hair to our head. They can't use those little bitty hairs. And so there's like 2 different habitats on our body. I think that's pretty fantastic. Okay. Yeah, I know most people haven't thought about this stuff. It's this is why you go to school, man. Learn new things. Okay. Yeah, time to go bald. Well, this could be a reason that maybe pubic louses are going the way of the dodo bird. Okay. Here we go, guys. I'm going to exit full screen here. I'm going to go open up the quiz. Yep. I'm not. Different birthmarks have different genetic reasons. Some are freckles and some aren't. We can come back to that another time. Okay, look. Here's here's your evolution quiz number 2. I'm gonna hold office hours today, so if you did not do well on the first quiz, I have a retake for that today, but you have to be in office hours. Also, if you need to talk about the IA after we go, I'm going to review the first quiz that you guys did over fossils 2 days ago. And excuse me, I've got the hiccup so bad. And then after that, I will meet with you guys about IA questions. Your IA is going to be due in the next class. Man, these hiccups are killing me. And in any case, refresh your page. You'll see your evolution quiz. Use your T-chart to help you, generated and maintained. And you guys, I think there's 6 minutes for this quiz, 5 or 6, I can't remember. Let's see if you guys are finding it. Yep, looks like many of you guys are finding it, at least 4 so far. I'll be quiet while you guys are taking it. Huh? I can't give anybody anything. You can go to the nurse. The class is going to change in about 2 minutes. No, about 6 minutes. Just go to the nurse. I don't think that she can either. Yes, when you finish, you can split. You guys be good. Just make sure you get that proposal worked out over the next day or two. Sarah Marino has a corgi driving a car. That's so funny. What's wrong with this thing? Come on.
No. Just that thing. So I'm looking at how you just make still somewhere here.
Bro, damn.
That it?
Hey,
No, my no.
I can't even play with that. You keep cracking, bro.
You're doing bad. You want
Strawberry? Take that strawberry. Yes, sir. I never eat a strawberry. Never had a apple.
Ooh, people did great on it. Excellent job. Golly.
Hey,
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
It was like, it's always my order four that seems slightly easier.
hey, buddy.
Well, the thing about when we're studying now is now we're not in physiology on a macro level, we're on a big or a population level. And so when people kind of get that a little more, it's hard to, there's going to be a math in a couple weeks, not a couple weeks, a couple lessons from now. We're going to start working with some math in there, start applying mathematics to this. It's going to get tricky. You're going to have to study for it. There's going to be an equation you have to know. Yes, Diana, I am.
Wait, so where are those fish from?
The retake for this one will be next week.
Oh, the fish. So where the fish?
Those are South American, but they were caught in Florida because they're an invasive species by Mr. Diaz. All right, you guys be good. Class, the bell's about to ring. You guys need to clean your desk or out.